Hi, I'm Christiana Stone, and this is my video on the different types of terminology you hear when talking about reading and language assessments. The Reading Literacy Assessment is an assessment used to determine a student's ability to either read, comprehend, or write. They can be, some examples might be a closed passage or a running record. The information obtained from such an assessment should help the teacher determine interventions or remediation to be completed in a classroom. The reading specialist might pull students out to conduct these assessments, or they might be used as a resource to help analyze the results of the assessments. Students are most likely to hear the word test instead of assessment, though in my first grade classroom I just say, "I want to listen to you read," to help reduce any anxiety. Language assessments are used to analyze a student's speaking or listening skills. It can be as simple as anecdotal notes, or listening to them read and respond to comprehension questions, or how they interact during a group discussion. This information should inform the teacher what type of support they'll need to provide in the classroom to best help a student succeed. The reading specialist might pull students to do this assessment, especially if it's a time-consuming one, or if we're thinking about referring them to an IEP. Students will not usually be told they're taking an assessment, but they may be told that they'll have to complete some activities with a teacher. Diagnostic tests are used to determine a student's specific strengths and weaknesses. A core reading assessment is a fantastic diagnostic reading test, and it will show a student's ability on phonological awareness, letter knowledge, or the decoding skills. Diagnostic tests help teachers pinpoint the exact strengths and needs of an individual student, and is a huge asset when assessing for special ed recommendations or designing intervention groups. The reading specialist will often be the one to perform a diagnostic assessment because of how time-consuming they usually take. They can also be a resource when analyzing the data. I don't usually say diagnostic test when I'm talking to a student, but again, I'll usually use the phrase, "I want to listen to you read." Remediation is more often known as reteaching. It is to pull students into a small group and to represent information that was given whole group in hopes that they will be able to comprehend and master it. Some examples might be Elkonin boxes for phonological awareness, or leveled readers for a phonics skill. Remediation is used to specifically determine what skills students need to master and differs from an intervention activity. The reading specialist does not usually be the one to administer remediation groups. However, they might be a resource for finding good activities to use in your remediation groups. More often, students will hear the term small groups as opposed to remediation. Intervention is a systematic planned time where a research-based program is implemented to help a student obtain grade level. Interventions are often used with an RTI framework and will require progress monitoring. Words the Way is an excellent intervention activity that addresses many phonics needs. Intervention goals are to give students the academic skills they need to be able to succeed within the classroom environment. The reading specialist is often used to pull students during intervention time, especially if it's all super struggling intensive students, and they will be pulled to target specifically what they need to be able to catch up to their peers. Once again, I usually don't use the term intervention, but I'll say they're going to a reading group. Progress monitoring is our last term, and it's a way to assess and determine a student's growth, either in response to whole group, remediation, or intervention instruction. Progress monitoring can be highly formalized, such as IRIs, or they can be informal, such as a running record or anecdotal note. They can be taken either by the classroom teacher or the reading specialist as the situation requires. Progress monitoring is an important part of remediation in the intervention process, as it is a time to reevaluate and determine if your activities and approach are being effective for the student. The reading specialist may be the one to progress monitor, especially if the students they're working with in the intervention group, or they may be called, as in my school, to help analyze trends for grade level and whole school-wide progress. Again, I usually don't say progress monitoring to my students, but I may tell them the phrase that I want to know how much they've learned, so would they please give me their best rating. This concludes my video on different terminology you might hear in the classroom.